America's political system is baffling. I mean, the Electoral College? Try explaining that to someone from another country. In 2020, it looks like the final result might actually resemble the popular vote. But that likely won't stop the calls to change the system. And that might actually come sooner than you realize. So here are 3 good signs if you hate the Electoral College. Good sign number 1, 15 states have already approved changes, and more are likely to follow. Their goal, one person, one vote, and the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact would bind these states to commit all their electoral votes to the winner of the National Popular Vote. It wouldn't require congressional approval, and it wouldn't take effect until they had 270 electoral votes worth of states on board. Right now, they're at 196 votes worth. And yes, they're all Democratic-leaning states because the Electoral College favors Republican-leaning, less populated, more conservative states. That's how George Bush made the math work in 2000 without the popular vote, and Donald Trump did it again in 2016. But our shifting demographics could put Republicans in a pinch.
The trend is that Texas is moving in a Democratic direction because of in-migration and demographic change within the state. Once Texas turns blue, Republicans are at a disadvantage in the Electoral College.
Studies show a majority of the country wants change too, including a lot of Republicans. So it may not take much to flip the switch once the math shifts. Good sign number 2 if you hate the Electoral College? The framers of the Constitution didn't like it either. Historians point out it was one of the last things our founders agreed to in the 1780s, not to balance the interests of big states and little states, but to balance the interests of free states and slaveholding states. They were immediately critical of it, but acknowledged it was one of the only options they had given their constraints, one of which was the enormous size of the country.
It took a month to travel by boat from Maine to Georgia. There would not have been a national popular vote. There couldn't have been. Elections are run at the local level. No other democracy does this like this.
The result is small state voters have more power than large state voters, which is also why nobody's been able to change it in more than 200 years. You may think each American gets one vote each, but giving small states more electoral weight essentially means a vote from a Wyoming resident counts 3 times more than the average American's. If you live in Vermont, 2.5 times more. While ballots cast in Ohio, Virginia, and Florida have significantly less weight than the average American's. And if you're a Republican in New York or a Democrat in Missouri, you may feel like your vote for president doesn't matter at all. So when someone tells you the framers of the Constitution wanted it this way, no, they didn't. It's just a placeholder until technology could improve and we could institute a better system. Good sign number 3 if you hate the Electoral College: this doesn't have to be a partisan issue at all. In fact, Democrats and Republicans have agreed before to scrap the whole thing. In 1969, new President Richard Nixon and the man he just defeated, Hubert Humphrey, helped get a bipartisan constitutional amendment through the House that would have replaced the Electoral College with the popular vote once and for all. But slavery's long shadow stood in the way again. Even though the bill had support in the Senate too, another relic of a time gone by, the filibuster, did it in. Segregationist senators were able to kill the amendment, and there hasn't been much progress in the 50 years since. Look, there's no guarantee that switching to a popular vote would help Democrats. The way candidates would campaign would change, and so could the results. Republicans have been marginalized by the Electoral College too. With a popular vote, candidates would have their first incentive in years to go visit states like South Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama. But we aren't there yet. So until we are, focus your politicking on friends and family in those few key swing states. Because for now, those are the votes that count the most. Hey everyone, Noah Pransky here. Thanks for checking out the NBCLX YouTube channel. For more videos, click here. And don't forget to click subscribe to join the NBCLX community.